Hello and welcome to the data overview. Today we're looking at Collins Hill High School's social studies data for the 11th and 12th grade EOC tests taken in U.S. history and economics. This is a presentation that can be viewed for administrators, instructional coordinators, and the social studies staff of Collins Hill High School, but it can be good for any of the shareholders involved, students, parents, community members, other departments might like to view and see how the social studies scores stack up to their own scores. So I'm your presenter, Christopher Daniels, and this is for ITEC 7305, the summer of 2019 term. Okay. So the purpose of the data overview, what are we looking at? The main purpose is to look, first off, at the scores in the U.S. history and economics classes at Collins Hill High School and how they are. And then we also want to compare those same scores to Gwinnett County schools and to the state of Georgia. Gwinnett County is a large district. We have around 20 high schools, so there'll be a lot of schools that we can compare to and take a look at. And then the state of Georgia, obviously, overall, how are the rest of the U.S. history test takers and the economic test takers doing in Collins Hill versus what the rest of the state's doing. So we're going to be looking at those comparisons. We want to try and identify any trends that our test takers and teachers are showing, both strengths and weaknesses. And then we also want to establish some short-term goals that we can help us increase the scores of our struggling student groups. We'll see in just a little bit that the scores are broken into 4 different groups with the 2 top levels, the goal really. So how can we get our bottom 2 levels up to the top 2? So that's one of our short-term goals. All right. Some questions to consider while we review this data. What are the overall trends at Collins Hill High School? So what are we seeing that's happening and going on at our school that we can control? How can we move our struggling students up a level? Like I noted earlier, there's 4 levels. How can we get those students in the bottom 2 to make the jump from the bottom up to the top? And then how can we overall improve the testing scores at Collins Hill High School? So yes, we're concentrating on social studies, but some of the things that we're going to do are going to carry over and correlate to some of the other courses that are taking EOCs. So they could possibly help out the other classes also. So how can we, what can we do that's going to improve the testing at Collins Hill High School? And we'll talk about why that's important next. So first thing we're going to look at is the College and Career Ready Performance Index, the CCRPI. This is an accountability system that the state of Georgia has. It assesses how well students are prepared for college and careers, and it ensures that schools are focused on improving achievement among all students. And that's a key thing there, among all students. The index measures progress on accountability indicators such as content mastery, student attendance, and preparation for the next school level or college work. The reason we're opening with this data set is because high schools earn CCRPI points for meeting or exceeding standards on state assessments, thus the EOC scores, and why it's important to the College and Career Ready Performance Index. For us personally, CHHS has remained above the state and district levels, but has decreased from 2016 to 2018. So we'll take a look at that data next. So as you can see here, Collins Hill is in the green, Gwinnett County is in the silver, and Georgia is in the black. We at Collins Hill were at a high in 2015-16 at almost 90%, and we have decreased the last 2 years down to, excuse me, around 85%, and then last year at 83%. Now we have remained ahead of the state of Georgia and the Gwinnett County public schools. So within our district, we're still above what the county average is, and then we're still above what the state is. But we obviously want to get closer to that 90 and reverse this trend. Instead of going down, we want to get back and start climbing back up. We can do this through some increased EOC scores. Graduation next is the next thing we're going to look at. This is the measure of the number of potential seniors that graduate. So the people that are in the senior class that are classified as seniors and actually graduate. Collins Hill has maintained a higher graduation rate than both the district and the state. So once again, just like the CCRPI PI scores, we've been ahead of everything. We have been decreasing. We had a spike. We'll see in just a few minutes. This is over the last 4 years. We had a spike up to 91%, and then we've gone down the last 2 years. So let's look at that now. You can see the rates here. So Georgia is in the black. GCPS, Gwinnett County Schools, is in the blue, and Collins Hill is the green. You see in 2014-15, we were around 84, 83%, and then we had a spike. For some reason, we need to figure out what happened there to 91%, and then we've decreased the last couple of years down to 86, and then down to 83.8 or something along those lines in 2017, 2018. So one of the goals here should be what happened in 2015-16. How did we get to that 91%? What can we go back and do to get back to that? Student data. Collins Hill, first off, is a large suburban high school in Gwinnett County. This is a part of the Atlanta metro area. The school itself has a very diverse population. The most recent data has 13% of the school is Asian, 26% white, 27% is Hispanic Latino, 30% is African American, and 5% are multiracial. In 2015-16 school year, there were 3,175 students. In 2016-17, there were 3,148 students. And then in 2017-2018, there was 3,134 students. So our overall population has been decreasing over the past 3 years. The fastest growing group is Hispanic Latino. We'll see those numbers in just a few minutes. They've grown, while the largest decrease has been the white population. 13% of the students at CHHS fall into the special education category. 7% are classified as ELLs. 42% of the students are on free reduced lunch, and the average attendance rate for Collins Hill is 96%. So kids are coming to school. We got to figure out what they're doing at school, though. So here's the data that shows the demographics for the past 3 years of Collins Hill High School, and you see the different years there. 2015-16 in the silver, 2016-17 in the black, and then 2017-2018 in the green. Once again, you see some steady growth there from the Hispanic Latino group, and you see some good growth from the African American group, and then the decrease in the white group. The multiracial has stayed the same. Asian has stayed the same over the last 3 years. So the American Indian, Alaska Native, there's a very small, it's almost 0% though, so we stay there as with the Pacific Islander. This is some of the subgroups. So those we mentioned earlier: free reduced lunch, the ELLs of the school, and then the special education numbers. The biggest group here is the free reduced lunch. Now a lot of these kind of correlate or go together. There's a lot of the ELL students that are on free reduced lunch and things like that. But you can see the numbers. It's steadily grown for all three of these groups. Special education has gone up. ELLs has increased also, with free reduced lunch has gone up also. Oops. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. The staff data, just very quickly here. The highest level of education, the largest group of teachers at Collins Hill has a master's degree, with bachelor and specialist degree being about equal, and then 11 teachers have a doctorate. And then years of experience, the largest group is the 0 to 5 years, so a lot of younger new teachers at Collins Hill, with fewer have put in the 21 to 26 range. So it's pretty mixed. Once again, though, with the largest group being 0 to 5 years of experience. So let's get into the data that we're looking at. We're looking at U.S. history scores and economic scores. So first up is the U.S. history EOC scores. You can see the data. This is from 2015-16 through the 2017-2018 school year. So 3 years worth of data. We've already said that this is given to 11th grade students in the spring, and it covers both first and second semester material. Scores are broken down into 4 categories: distinguished learners, proficient learners, developing learners, and beginning learners. And this chart to start here is just going to show the students who passed. And you can see for the U.S. history score, CHHS is in the green. In 2015-16, almost 60% passed, and then we had a dip down into about 52%, and then we had a spike up to about 65, 66% passing. So the U.S. history teachers did something really good between the 17 and 18 test. So we want to get back to that. Economic scores, the same deal. Economics is given at the end of the course. Economics is a one semester course, so it's only covering that material, and it's given in both the spring and the fall semester. Same breakdown of scores, and once again, this chart just shows the passing rate. So in 2015-16, CHHS was lower than both GCPS and right there at the Georgia numbers. In 2016-17, there was an increase up to 50%, which was what the county level was, and higher than the state. And then in 2017-18, there was an increase, and Collinsville was higher than both the county and the state. The EOC score breakdowns. This means we're looking at those 4 levels. And so this is one of the goals we wanted to look at, was how can we get our developing and beginning learners to go from developing and beginning into the distinguished and proficient. So we look here, we've got the U.S. history scores on the left, and we've got the economic scores on the right. And so this is just for Collinsville High School. And you see the largest number of students at all 3 years there are in the proficient. So that's where most students fall. Excuse me. And then we have lots of students in the develop in the beginning. For the U.S. history scores there, same deal over there with the economic scores. The sweet spot is for the proficient. A good chunk of the students are there. We want to get those distinguished numbers up, and we want to drop those developing and beginning numbers though. For the Gwinnett County schools, kind of the same look there, the numbers. Proficient is where a lot of the students fall. They have kind of the same trend there with the developing the beginning learners, and then the distinguished learners being a lot lower for the U.S. history test and for the economics test. And then for the state of Georgia, the numbers are kind of all over the place when you look at the state of Georgia numbers there. Now, the thing to remember is that the Collinsville High School is higher than both the Gwinnett County schools and the state of Georgia numbers. So in and of itself, we're above what we are comparing ourselves to, but we want to get better. So the strengths, economics has shown steady improvement from a low of 47% passing to a high of 55.4% passing in 2017-18. The biggest strength is U.S. history made that dramatic jump from 52.8 passing in 2016-17 to 65.55% passing in 2017-2018. So we probably want to look at something that the U.S. history teachers did during that 2017-2018 school year. Economics raised the number of students in the distinguished and proficient category from 53% to 57%, and the U.S. history people, they raised their numbers from 53 to 66%. So once again, those U.S. history teachers are doing something right, so we want to look at them. Some weaknesses: the graduation rates have declined over the last couple of years, down to 83% most recently. The CCRPI number has decreased. We still have over 40% of our students in the developing and beginning learner stages, and U.S. history EOC teachers need to find some consistency. They have the big swing there, so we need to find out how can they stay in that sweet spot. Some discussion questions: what can we do to increase the overall graduation rate? What can social studies teachers do to increase the CRRPI score? What can we do to get the group of development and beginning learners up a level? Some things that weren't in the data: how are female and male scoring on the EOC? Are ELLs being served, and how are their scores? Are we doing enough for special education students? And what's the breakdown of based on free and reduced lunch students, and can we do anything for those students? So the next steps, we want to discuss these questions from the presentation today. We want to come up with an action plan to improve our school weaknesses, and then increase the data analysis within our PLCs to more effectively impact student achievement. Thank you for coming. Take care.